welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing amazing. I thought it'd be a good video idea for a full face of all drugstore products. I've done a lot of luxury products on my channel so far, and I wanted to showcase a full face look of affordable products. And it's not only just drugstore, but it's drugstore, like legit drugstore. Because sometimes I get frustrated with tutorials that are like, oh, it's a drugstore tutorial, but then the whole tutorial is like ColourPop and Morphe, which are e-commerce brands, and you can't buy them in store unless you're in like a couple states in the US for Morphe. I think ColourPop is at Ulta. But so this is going to be all products you can actually go buy yourself at the drugstore. 99% are all affordable. And yeah, let's get to the tutorial and we'll see where this takes us. Okay guys, so I'm going to be using my Maybelline Prime Blur and Smooth primer, the Maybelline Face Studio. This is kind of an interesting primer. It's like pretty lotiony. So it's interesting because it's one of those primers that I bought because I wanted to try it, but sometimes I wonder, I discussed this in my last anti-haul video, I'll link that below. It's like, do we really need primers? I talked about toners as if being primers, like do we really need them? And I mean, sometimes I go back and forth between being like, oh, I can't do my makeup without a primer. So it's really dependent on the day and the look for me. I find as well, you can avoid using primer if you're not wanting to buy one or you just don't care, it's not for you. If you just freshly moisturize your skin and wait a few minutes, then do your makeup, because it'll still have like that nice and tacky base, and it'll have something nice for your foundation to glide off of. Okay, next product is like an ultimate holy grail. I've told so many people about this foundation. It's Milani Conceal Imperfect 2-in-1. It's a concealer and foundation. I tried this using no concealer and just doing the foundation under my eyes, and it does work, but it is a bit thick for under the eyes, and I do prefer the look of like a brighter concealer under the eye. So this is like a super full coverage foundation. Tati kept recommending this, and I wanted to finally try it, and now I'm like hooked, and as you can see, I'm like running out of the tube. So this is the shade 02. And like it's really thick, like you can even see how it pumps out like pretty slowly. So I'm just gonna take like a pump and a half of that and just dot it on the face. But yeah, this is pretty thick, so keep that in mind. But it is super nice and full coverage. Like look, you can already see my birthmark is like disappearing like crazy. Okay, so I'm just using a makeup sponge that I got from Luxie. So I'm using a sponge today, and normally I find this foundation to be super full coverage, but I feel like the sponge is shearing it out so much, and so this is exactly why I prefer usually to do makeup brushes for like a full coverage look. Sorry, I'm not giving you the middle finger. I just prefer to use this foundation and have it be a full coverage look. If I want something more sheer, I have other foundations for that. So I mean, it is a good way to sheer out a full coverage foundation, but the reason I chose this one is because I like the finish of it. And so I just feel like the sponge is washing it out a bit, and now I have to apply more. Okay, so next I'm using my Maybelline Fit Me Concealer in 22 Wheat. This is just such a good concealer. Trust me, I've tried a couple of drugstore concealers, not a ton, but I have tried a few and I'm not like super in love. Oh my god, I missed blending. This will just open up the face a little and give you a little bit more dimension. It's funny because when I was trying to pick products for this tutorial, it was actually really hard because my makeup experience went from like not wearing any makeup to exclusively using the Urban Decay Naked palette every single day before I left my house, and really thick black eyeliner under my eyes. And then I upgraded with the Sephora High Precision Liquid Eyeliner, which I still use to this day. That is like the OG. And now I kind of like skipped from those products, skipped the drugstore and went straight to Sephora. And I even skipped like the MAC phase everyone had. I wasn't even using MAC. I was just like, nah, like that brand just didn't really interest me for some reason. And then I just like went straight to Sephora. And even to this day, like most of the MAC products I've tried were their eyeshadow singles and like their lipsticks. Their lipsticks are great, but like I don't really have many lip liners. I've never tried one of their foundations. don't have a concealer, like just nothing else really from them. It's funny. This is from the drugstore, but unfortunately it is more like high-end drugstore. This is the Dermablend loose setting powder. I honestly don't have an affordable setting powder right now. My go-to used to be the Maybelline, and I think it was the Maybelline, or was it L'Oreal Infallible, the L'Oreal Infallible translucent setting powder. That was really good, and it's super finely milled, but I don't know, I felt like I was just running out of it all the time. Like it wasn't it was like half the size of this type of container, and I found that they would always sell it for like $17-18 at the drugstore nowadays, and I was like, well, that's pretty much just Sephora price. I'm just gonna like go for like the high-end powders because the package is double the size, and it's basically like you're paying the same if you factor in how much product you're actually getting. So yeah, I just stopped kind of buying those. And then Dermablend also started to send these to me, which is very nice of them, but I genuinely like the powders, so now I just keep using them. So setting powder is one of those things too, like it's such a utility product that once I have a couple, I'm like, okay, well, I don't need to try more until these are done. Like I just don't really have the urge. So you can see the finish of this foundation. It's like a natural finish, so it's not like a pure matte. Like it still does catch the light a little bit. I don't know if you can tell, but it's not like a dewy foundation. It's just like a natural foundation. So if you're kind of on the fence between matte or dewy, you'll like this. By the way, today's flavor of Perrier is lemon. Okay, I also don't have a drugstore eyeshadow primer, so I did my whole face first just so I could set the eyelids with the foundation and the powder, so it's like kind of skipping the primer process. I find that that does work as well in lieu of a primer. Just with certain looks, I have found that if I don't go in with a primer and I only do like the foundation and stuff, then I do eyeshadow, sometimes it can still crease a little bit. So just keep that in mind, and if you have a primer, just use one. Okay, so now for eyeshadow, I'm going to take this True Fiction Cosmetics single in Daydreamer. Such a cute package. It kind of looks like that RMS Beauty highlight that I showed you in my highlight collection video. If you haven't seen that, I will link that below as well. I'm just putting that all over the lid as a nice base. And I like to always start with a lighter eyeshadow just so it will intensify the colors. Okay, so now for the eyes, I'm going in with this Milani Cosmetics Everyday Eyes Bare Necessities palette. It's just like super neutral and easy looking, so I'm just gonna do that. Now with my super bougie Hakuhodo crease brush, I'm going to swirl in this one and tap it off. The thing about drugstore eyeshadow, I don't buy it very often, to be honest, because I feel like it just takes forever to build up sometimes. Like I've literally blended each side like 4 times. So if this was like an Anastasia shadow or like Huda or something, this would be so much quicker. So just keep that in mind as well, that, I mean, not to say every drugstore brand is bad or like this Milani palette is bad, but sometimes you do get what you pay for. Some brands are definitely better than others, Sephora and drugstore. But overall, that is coming together all right. Now I'm going to take a little bit of this one, and hopefully it won't look crazy because it's like quite a bit darker than that crease color. But I don't want this look to be overly dramatic. I mean, it's like famous last words. So I think that actually is coming along really nice. I'm pleasantly surprised because I haven't used this palette in a really long time. Now I'm just gonna take a tiny bit of this color with like my fingertips, because sometimes when you do like a metallic shadow, it doesn't really transfer well with a brush for like the intensity that I want. So since I did my eyes first, you see how I have this transfer now? Like that's kind of what I wanted to avoid. So that's why I always just do my eyes first. And then I'm gonna go in with the gold shade here. So pretty. I kind of like where this eye look is going. It's kind of like a smoky gold vibe, but it's like not too dramatic. I'm into it. Not a fan of drugstore liquid eyeliners. Like I've tried so many of them in my day and I'm just not a fan no matter what I do. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna use this angled brush from NYX, and I'm just gonna use a little bit of this eyeshadow to make like a little bit of like a smoky liner. I honestly like rarely do my makeup this way, so I'm being very experimental right now. I think it looks all right. Like once the mascara and everything is on, I think it could look okay, hopefully. Okay, and just so I feel a little bit more normal, I'm gonna go in with my Tarte Big Ego Mascara right now. I'm so sorry. I have like 10 mascaras and none of them are drugstore. Like literally none of them. I don't know. It's funny though, because mascara used to be the one thing I'd be like, I'm never spending money on. Oh my God, no, everything is at the drugstore. And then like, I don't know what happened. I just accumulated all of these other mascaras from like BoxyCharm and just like Sephora or PR, and I have like 10 different high-end mascaras, and I'm like, well, I have to use those up first. Now I have this contour palette from True Fiction Cosmetics. They actually sent this to me and I've never used it before, so hopefully it's good. I'm gonna go in with this slightly angled brush. This is from Royal and Langnickel, and that is a really great affordable makeup brush brand. It usually comes to eye mats. Okay, pleasantly surprised at how pigmented that is. I'm just seeing now that I have like the patchiest neck ever, so sorry if it's been like this for a while. The beauty of having my roots be so grown out right now is that if I blend my contour, it doesn't turn my hair brown. So like the thing with being really blonde sometimes is that you have to always be really careful when you're applying your makeup, because like if you get your makeup or your foundation in your hair, it just looks crazy. So, and like you don't want to look like your hair is just dirty, you know? Okay, this is looking a little intense. Like maybe I overdid it. Probably can fix it. Maybe I'll just like stipple it over a bit. Yeah, that helped a little bit. And then above, just along the jawline. One thing I notice in a lot of my videos is I'm trying to get my angles right. And I don't notice that sometimes when I'm talking, I'll like go back like this. And then so in certain angles, I'll be like, you know, and I just don't want to be always, I don't want to look like I have a double chin when I don't. Oh, fuck. Okay, this is like, this contour powder is not for the faint of heart, just FYI. I mean, it's good that it actually has payoff, but like I should probably be a little bit less liberal with it. Okay, now I'm just gonna do a tiny nose contour, so just swirling this just to give it a little extra definition. So I actually don't have a drugstore bronzer. Like if I was gonna have one though, it'd be the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer, but I'm out of it. That shit is so good, and I literally hit pan on it and it crumbled everywhere, and I've never really run out of a bronzer like that quickly because I use it all the time over my high-end ones. So in lieu of adding a high-end bronzer, I'm just gonna go straight to blush because I feel like this is looking like good enough right now. And so I was in New York for Christmas and I stopped into just like a drugstore to buy something I forgot. And they had this Wet n Wild blush marked on sale as 38 cents. And I was like, hey, that must be a mistake. No one would ever sell a blush for 38 cents. Like, that's insane. And literally, I went and bought it and it was 38 cents. So I was like, I felt like I got away with robbery. Like, you know, even though Wet n Wild is an affordable brand, I was like, it's not 38 cents affordable, you know? So this is the shade Keep It Peachy in their Color Icon Blush. And these are actually very nice blushes. So I'm gonna take this Quo brush. I actually usually use this as a under eye setting brush, but it's just what's in front of me right now, so we're just gonna go for it. It's actually, I think it's a tapered blush brush anyways. I just like to use it for under my eyes normally. See, the reason I normally use this brush for under my eyes is because it's just not fluffy enough for me. Like I feel like it's concentrating the product too much. And so even though a brush might say tapered blush, honestly, like try it out before you buy it in store, because you really don't want like a harsh blush look on your face, unless, I mean, that's the look you're going for. But personally, I just like to have it a little more like soft focus. This is actually a drugstore blush. This is from just Shoppers Drug Mart's line. They actually released a whole new line of brushes the last few months, and they're not that cheap for drugstore. Like their face brushes are like $30, and I'm like, okay? But they are really soft. What's with the drugstore getting so expensive? Like, does anyone else notice Revlon is charging like $22, $26, $25 for certain products? And I'm like, Sephora collection is $10 cheaper than that. You can get lipsticks from Urban Decay for like $20. There's just so many other brands at Sephora that are pretty much that same price point. So I just don't see the point sometimes of shopping at the drugstore, you know what I mean? And now for highlight, I'm gonna take this Wet n Wild Mega Glow Highlighting Powder. This is in Precious Petals, and this went super viral when it came out. And it was like all over YouTube, and I took a while to actually try it. I was like 2 years late to hop on that train, and I do think it is pretty. Like, look at that. Although, to be honest, I had to find this off of Amazon because I didn't see any at the store when I was looking. Little on the Cupid's bow, classic. Such a satisfying highlight, just to have that, you know. And then a little bit on the collarbones. I just love a good little collarbone highlight. It just looks so pretty and like kind of sexy, you know? It's just like when you catch the light and you're just like, you look like a sexy skeleton. So now for brows, use this Maybelline Total Temptation Brow Definer. It's kind of interesting. It has this like triangle tip to it, and then the base has this like bulb of a brush. So I actually find it cool if you want to like really concentrate on an area. The only thing is this color I got, soft brown, it's like a little too dark on me, so I have to be really careful not to overdo it. What a difference. Yeah, I really like the end of this pencil, just how it's like a bulb, so it just feels really satisfying when you like brush your brows out. I will say for drugstore products, aside from like my favorite pencil from NYX, my go-to brand for eyebrows as well is Maybelline. I feel like they're just consistently good with their eyebrow releases, and they have a lot of options. I feel like I'm topless, one sec. A little too naked vibesy. Okay, so now that the brows are on, I want to do a little bit more definition under my eyes actually. So I'm going to go back in with this palette and just take this middle shade. Since I have hooded eyes, I typically don't use a lot of eyeliner pencils under my eyes. I just find that they're like really harsh, and I always end up not liking the look, and I just feel like I don't want to make my eyes look too closed off. I'm just gonna take this now, just with my fingers, again, in the inner corner. Ooh, it's so pretty, look at that. Okay, drugstore, not bad. Literally like barely use this eyeshadow palette because I just have so many others, and this is really nice. I even have high-end colors that are like not this impactful. I would specifically grab this palette just for the inner corner look, or even do this like all over the lid next time. And this whole palette I think was like maybe $15, and this is the Bare Necessities Everyday Eyes palette, just FYI. And this is in the shade, yeah, 02. It's just so pretty. Okay, wow. Now I'm like, that just like took this look up so many notches. Like, for lashes, I'm gonna use my True Fiction Cosmetics eyelashes. These are Korean silk eyelashes in Liz. I love this brand so much. You can get it at Save On Foods, and then they also sell the lashes at Shoppers. I used to buy these lashes so often, and I think that they're stunning and amazing. And they basically just started sending them to me after I posted about them on Instagram so much. And I was like, okay, awesome. So I'm using this Duo Quick Set Eyelash Adhesive. If you are using an eyelash glue in a tube form, like, honey, no, this is 2020. We are leveling up, okay? This glue itself is all right. There's other options out there that I would recommend, such as the Esquito formula. And this is also kind of awkward, this paddle. I thought I was buying the lash glue they had with like the brush, because that one with the brush on tip is actually really good. But I just find this paddle thing really awkward, and it doesn't really like distribute enough product at once. Okay, so now my usual, blow on these and hold them in shape. You want the glue to get tacky as well, especially because with this look, like I didn't do a black eyeliner on the eye. So black eyeliner will usually disguise mistakes if your lash is lifting or it's not super close to the lash. But because I didn't do a dark eyeliner, I have to be really careful to make this as flawless as possible. It's like, look at the difference. So pretty. And this is a really good style for hooded eyes as well. I do have slightly hooded eyes, so certain styles of eyelashes on me, if they're too full in like the middle, it will just look a little too dense on me, like my eyes are closing. Okay, so now for lips, I'm gonna use my NYX lip liner in Peekaboo Neutral. This does not look too hot. The label just like faded so much, but it is a really pretty, just like nude, and their lip liners are really affordable. I think this was like $5. Okay, so that's like a pretty nude. I find that a lot of the time, there's no point in spending a lot of money on high-end lip liners necessarily, because I find there's just so many good drugstore alternatives, and like you're literally just sharpening it over and over again, and then you're gonna put a product on top. And there's just so many good ones. Like NYX has good ones, Milani has good ones, True Fiction has good ones, and they're all like under $10. So sometimes it's just hard for me to buy like a Charlotte Tilbury liner or a MAC liner, because I'm like, well, they're good, but like basically the same as these drugstore brands I like. Although I have tried other shitty ones and they're not good. Tried shitty high-end ones too. Like I remember I never got into the Makeup Forever liners. I just like didn't. Also, what happened to Makeup Forever? Does anyone know what happened to them? Because I have not heard a single soul talk about Makeup Forever in like months. Like I don't even remember seeing it at Sephora. Am I going crazy? Have stores been closed that long? I can't remember seeing Makeup Forever, or is it not at Sephora anymore? I need to look this up right now. I feel like I'm in a Twilight Zone. So yeah, I think that is a really pretty color, and it honestly is like standing alone on its own 2 feet very well. So all I'm gonna do is just top it with a gloss. I don't really feel the need to go in with a lipstick on top. So I'm gonna use this Revlon Kiss Plumping Lip Cream Gloss. I stumbled across this randomly in the winter. It's a really pretty color. This is in the shade Nude Honey 510. And it's really nice. I don't notice too much of a plumping effect, to be honest, but if you want a nice drugstore nude gloss, it's very nice. It is quite pigmented as well, so just keep that in mind. Okay, so this look is pretty much done. I'm just going to use a setting spray. So I'm going to go in with this Pixie Glow Mist. I love to always illuminate my chest in the summer on a nice sunny day, because you just want to feel all glowy and fab. And if I don't want to go in with like a powder or like a radiant primer on my chest, I'll literally just spray this nowadays, and it gives a nice like dewy effect, and it is really pretty. So I'm going to use this on the face and the chest. It doesn't really have any particular scent. It says olive fruit oil, avocado oil, primrose oil, and tea tree. I think that's what it smells like, because it smells a little bit medicinal. Like it doesn't smell like, I thought it would smell like honey because of the propolis, but it doesn't. So just FYI, I'm gonna spray even a little more. Okay, I feel like that's a really cute drugstore look. I feel like that turned out really well. And all of these products are things you can go and buy in store. They're not like e-commerce only brands, so it's definitely accessible to everyone. Okay, so despite the fact that my roots are looking a little bit atrocious, I'm kind of into the bun right now, so I think I'm just gonna leave my hair like this. So that concludes this video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching and seeing me create this drugstore look. And if you love this video, give it a like and subscribe to my channel for future beauty content. I'd love to have you back here, and thank you so much for watching.